I wake with a whisper in my skull. Lights hum above, blue and clinical. Pain crawls through my limbs, like stubborn rain. Machines murmur a quiet rhythm beside the bed. I push through fog, trying to recall the night. A nurse smiles, checks my IV, then exits. Dr. Mitchell steps in, steadier than the room. Her eyes hold careful gravity. She wears a mask of calm. Dr. Mitchell speaks. "Laura Bennett, you are awake." I answer yes, though the word tastes metallic. I barely nod, tasting metal on my tongue. I ask what happened. She glances at monitors, then meets my gaze. "There was an incident," she begins, "and you woke." I ask, "There was an attempt to poison your grandfather." She nods, the gravity deepening. "An attempt to poison your grandfather," she says, "and your father offered money to carry it out." My memory shakes. The thought of my father offering murder to save face empties the room. The IV tube glints, a fragile thread. Edward Bennett's face rises in my memory. Grandpa wasn't cruel, he was patient. Your grandfather is alive, but fragile, I remember. I hear a nurse's shoes tapping the floor. I tell myself to listen, then to act. Dr. Mitchell speaks again, soft but steady. "The attempts weren't detected until today," she says. "We traced the call, the money trail, the delivery. But we can't go after him yet," she adds. The words sting and spark a new cold inside me. If father wanted him dead, why pretend peace? I picture the man who taught me integrity. Not a bribe, but a weapon masked as aid. The room tilts, but I stand straighter. I vow to uncover motive, not revel in revenge. Let the truth cut deep, if it must. Dr. Mitchell slides a card across the table. "If you need me, call," she says. "But be careful, Laura. The truth can hurt." I pocket the card, hiding it from sight. The blinds throw stripes across the bed. Sunrise paints the windows with stubborn gold. If there is light, there must be a motive. I begin drafting a plan before the day begins. "Call the detective," I tell myself. "Start with Collins." "Detective Collins," she repeats, surprised. "Yes, he is patient, observant, unafraid. He will listen without judgment," I insist. "But first, Grandpa." I know the old house waits, cold and waiting. The thought steadies me more than medicine. I realize sunrise is not forgiveness, but reckoning. If I am to live, truth must be lived. I sip water, taste metal, swallow resolve. The nurse returns with quiet questions and a smile. "Plan takes time," she says. "No more waiting, not this time." I tilt my head, stare at the IV again. That thread, I will pull it loose, but not alone. I need proof, not guilt. So I memorize every sound, every face. The door tick-ticks, the hall breathes. I am a witness to a quiet crime, and I will be the one who speaks. Not vengeance, but clarity, a courtroom truth. The thought returns old house, new reckoning. Grandfather's portrait looks sideways and approving. "I will see you again soon," I murmur. Nurses drift by, unaware of the earthquake inside. My voice stays near, but my heart travels ahead. To tomorrow, to questions, to evidence. "Call Detective Collins," I tell myself aloud in the quiet. If I must play investigator, I will learn the rules. First, show restraint. Second, gather facts. I rehearse the questions, the order, the tone. "Where did the money come from?" I will ask. "Who benefits?" Another question, pressing. I know the first meeting must be with Collins. The idea steadies me, a target on the wall. In the end, the truth will choose the terms. A nurse announces a procedure, a reminder of time. I kiss the edge of sleep, then wake again. The day promises a storm. I promise to endure. All the while the IV tube remains, a thread between life and deception. I taste victory when fear loosens its grip. The door opens, a new day slides through the crack. Detective Collins will meet us soon, I tell myself, and I will walk through that house again, sober. I will not forget the first heartbeat after waking. I owe Grandpa the honesty of my breath. The horizon glows, a thin line between grief and resolve. I tell the IV again to stay with me. This is not an ending. It is a turning. I am awake with a weapon. Truth. The nurse calls, And my voice answers, "Tomorrow I begin. Today I survive. And in that survival is the spark of justice." The ivy thread keeps me still. The truth pushes me forward. I will meet the old house and the old lies. I will bring the truth to daylight. And I will walk away free, not unbroken. The line between loyalty and poison finally becomes visible. I breathe, and day brightens with resolve. This is the awakening I promised myself. A future not saved by silence, but by truth. I wake to a house that breathes routine. Sunlight crawls through blinds, turning dust into rain. The old Bennett place sighs, waiting for a confession. My hands tremble, not with fear, with resolve. I need questions, not answers yet. I step into the kitchen, breath cooling. A clock ticks, a stubborn metronome for truth. The IV line in Grandpa's room whispers a ghost. He is not here, yet his memory lingers. The house keeps score in its wooden walls. "Father, what did you really want?" I ask softly. He looks at me, an actor with rehearsed concern. "It's business," he says softly. The word lands and shatters my calm. I steady my hands, pretend steady nerves. "Motives sell, hearts don't," I reply. He braids a smile and shifts away. "The inheritance is fragile," he admits, almost to himself. "Fragile because of you," I whisper, half to him, half to the house. The room narrows. The air grows sharp. I demand to know every angle, every plan. He speaks of debt, of debts to fall on us. He speaks of protecting us from a new unknown. The truth lands, cold and heavy. My father was navigating a storm of desperation. The money would steady his fear, but ruin us all. "I need facts, not excuses," I say. "The doctor wouldn't be bought without a price," he counters, eyes dull. I push the question deeper. "What price was offered?" I ask. Steady. He hesitates, then spills a number. It is a sum he believed could quiet conscience. The air tightens. My mind rewinds to the hospital room. "Dr." Mitchell's calm face returns to me. I recall his words. "Record everything." I tell him we will verify, not punish. For now. We arrange a meeting with the police. Detective Collins greets me at the station. His voice is even, professional, never unkind. He confirms the doctor's testimony. "There was a bribe offer," he says. "And it matched the medical records," he adds. My breath catches. We walk into the lawyer's office. The attorney slides documents across the desk. "We will protect Grandpa's wishes," he says. He shows me the will and the codicil. The letters in Grandpa's handwriting arrive. They were tucked away in the study drawer. I find envelopes, sealed and brittle. One letter aches with fatherly love. The other bleeds with fear. The first speaks of duty, the second of debt. A timestamp marks a breaking point. Grandfather Edward, wise and patient, warns of greed. The letters tremble in my hands. I hear Grandpa's voice through the paper. "Protect her," one line says, "but never by truth." My father's name bleeds from margin to margin. The old house seems to listen. The walls tightening. I realize the house is a prison of secrets. We return to the living room, portrait of Grandpa watching. "Enough," I say, more to myself than to him. He stands, a father with a broken script. "I did what I had to do," he murmurs. "To save us," I reply, not sure whose salvation I seek. The door shivers with the wind outside. "Laura, you are chasing a ghost," he says softly. I step closer to the portrait, to the grandfather I loved. "He deserved better than this," I whisper. The house holds its breath, listening for my choice. I choose truth, not vengeance, though the choice burns. The gavel of a non-jury courtroom seems far away. But the idea of justice steadies my steps. The old house glows with morning resolve. I will not erase the love I had. I will wear the truth like a new skin. The first sunbeam lands on the stair rail. It charges the house with light and memory. I step into the hall, door to the unknown. Morning crawls into the room, and I breathe. The investigation is only beginning. The house keeps score in every plank. The next scene will demand more courage. I lift my head, face the truth, and I walk toward the future, not away. The clock in the hallway ticks like a witness. The cold air bites as I decide for honesty. I call Detective Collins later today to confirm everything. My phone warms my palm, a tiny spark of hope. The past tries to pull me back, softly. But I remember Grandpa's steady breath, his quiet trust. Justice is not vengeance, I remind myself. It is a map through a broken family. The inheritance becomes a test of mercy. I will pass it alone if needed. The old house flickers with a hopeful dawn. I step outside, the gate's chain tapping like rain. My shadow stretches, long and serious. The truth waits beyond fear, waiting for my call. I rise as the courthouse wakes, quiet resolve in my chest. The marble breathes with a patient, ancient rhythm. Detective Collins walks beside me, steady as a lighthouse. He nods. A quiet anchor in the storm. The air tastes of rain and old fears. Today, the truth surfaces in daylight, not theater. I cradle the evidence like a wounded bird. The folder trembles in my grip. Inside are ledgers, signatures, transfer notes. Numbers glare back at me, cold and remorseless. Bribes hide in ink, a doctor's stamp on consent. An inheritance line twisted by fear and greed. The sunrise spills through tall courtroom windows. Across the street, the old house glows faintly. An IV memory flickers, a lifeline and warning. The room hums, air fragrant with morning and marble. I feel the crowd's eyes, heavy with judgment. I take a breath, slow and deliberate. Judge Morrison rises, calm as weathered stone. The courtroom holds its own breath. Robert Bennett stands, a mask of charm slipping. He wants to smile, but guilt crawls beneath. I move to the stand, steady as steel. The folder lands on the witness table with a click. The clerk nods, the seal glinting faintly. For the record, Your Honor. I begin softly. The documents are not rumors, I continue. They are facts, signed and stamped. Judge Morrison nods, a slow, careful motion. Proceed, he says, voice even. Detective Collins steps closer, ready to testify. I feel the room widen, as if breathing. The first page bears the doctor's seal. Dr. Mitchell sits in the front row, calm. His eyes show caution, not malice, just truth. Explain the injections, doctor, I request, softly. He speaks slowly, careful with each word. The procedure was promoted as care, he says. There was money tied to it, he continues. A will was rewoven to favor the donor, he adds. The debate shifts, colors change. There was pressure to proceed, he adds. My father's eyes tighten, then loosen. He breathes deep, searching for a lifeline. Laura, he begins, velvet with danger. This is a misread, he claims. No, I answer, steady as steel. This is your deed, plain as the ledger. The room trembles softly, a held breath released. The gavel sits on its desk, patient. Silence. Judge Morrison commands gently. We have heard enough, he says. The defendant stands accused of medical fraud and theft. A weight drops from the room. My father's mouth tightens, then fails to speak. Guilty, the judge pronounces, clear and final. The room sighs as if a storm passes. Off-icers swarm around him, handcuffs click. Robert Bennett's jaw drops, breath stolen by fate. Arrested, he follows the room toward the door. My breath shakes, tears rise. I crumble, not relieved, but emptied. Outside, I lean against a pillar, crying. Detective Collins steps back, giving space. The crowd disperses. Morning continues outside. A shaky smile finds me anyway. We move toward the doors, not away. The city breathes around us, ordinary and loud. The sunrise glints off glass storefronts, hopeful and bright. My heart drums a cautious rhythm. The breath in my lungs steadies. I think of Grandfather Edward, quiet strength. He would want truth over revenge. He would want mercy earned by courage, not forgiveness earned by erasing pain. The old house across the street seems quieter. The ivy thread feels lighter, less haunted. I am learning a new math. Truth equals courage. Justice is not vengeance, I tell myself. It is the courage to face loss. The court's heat sits behind me, not through me. I glance at Robert one last time. He is gone inside, swallowed by consequences. The gavel's echo lingers, a cold reminder. It reminds me I cannot return to before. Still, I breathe. I keep moving. The crowd thins. Morning becomes workday. I feel lighter and heavier at once. I am not unscathed, but I am awake. The door to tomorrow yawns, inviting the honest walk. I promise to tell the rest of the truth. I promise to bear the cost with grace. And I promise to forgive what cannot be undone. The day is not over, but the worst passes. I step into the morning, toward a kinder dawn. The city keeps breathing, unafraid, unashamed. The future remains fragile, but hopeful, and I am ready to walk into it. The Hinge story continues, and I carry truth forward. The future waits, and I answer with mercy. The reckoning is not a weapon, but a doorway. I step into the light and learn to live. Truth becomes a compass, not a blade. And the gavel's echo keeps time with my breath. The scene ends with dawn and new resolve. Rain beads the windows as I cross the marble hallway. Dust motes drift like slow fireflies in the cold air. The old house sighs with memory as I move. I meet the lawyer in the glass dining room. He slides a folder across the table. We talk about Edward's estate with care. I tell him what I want the heirs to feel. There is no money for greed here. The documents reflect restraint, a different kind of inheritance. I sign, then pause, tasting the metallic edge of truth. This estate will fund cures, not cravings. The words feel heavy and bright at once. Detective Collins stands in the doorway, quiet as dawn. I tell him, "We do this for truth, not vengeance." He nods, offers his approval, and I feel lighter. The estate becomes a map toward a better future. Back at home, I stare at a framed photo. Edward's smile holds a lot of weight. The old family house is still here, but quiet. Outside, the streets glow with winter Sunday. I carry a folder with the new trust. I tell myself it's time to heal, but the mirror still shows a stubborn ache. How do you measure forgiveness when the wound remains? Later, a letter arrives with a familiar script. Robert Bennett's handwriting arches across the page. I steady my breath before I read. The words burn softly, then flood the room. He writes of regret, of missing years, of wishing for more. He asks for forgiveness, but not his freedom. There is no dramatic plea, only a quiet tremor. He says the words aloud in a way I can hear. He writes, "I am sorry for the harm I caused." The tone is careful, almost haunted, not a confession of change. I set the letter on the table and breathe. Detective Collins steps closer and pats the wooden desk. He says softly, "Let the truth lead you." That night, I walk the hall listening to rain. The IV tube in my memory glints like a key. Not literal, but a line between survival and truth. In a sudden flash, I hear Grandpa's voice. He taught restraint, sacrifice, and the weight of honor. If I carry any gift, it is this: to stop cycles, to choose healing over blame. The morning of dawn finds me at the cemetery. Rays spread across the stones, like fingers lifting sleep. Edward Bennett's grave wears a quiet, patient light. I lay a small folder beside it, not flowers. The folder holds the new trust, a clean hope. I whisper to the wind, "Forgive me for waiting." Snake of doubt unfurls, but it loosens its grip. I press a hand to my chest and listen. The day breathes, and so do I, slowly. Laura Bennett, you are choosing life by what you release. I see the old house outside glow with pale gold. The sunrise spills over the cemetery like a verdict, not a curse anymore, but a quiet sentence of mercy. I take a breath that feels earned, not given. The future is mine to build, one honest brick. Detective Collins nods at my resolve from the doorway. He knows forgiveness begins when the wrongdoer remains in the light. I pocket the letter and close Edward's photo frame gently. The car engine starts, and the street greets me awake. I drive toward a future where truth guides choices. No more cycles of fear and power, only responsibility. The light widens, and I feel a steady pulse. Some mornings begin with alarm. This one begins with mercy. The sunrise at last seems to stand with me. If healing is a process, I am part of it. The scene closes on the glow, not the shadow. A soft wind lifts my hair, nudging me forward. I am ready to begin again, without pretending.